Oh, on in. On in. Oh, my screen's all messed up. Hold on here. Let me fix this up so it doesn't look all messy. And we get that magic. Hey, on in. On in, Kinueo. Hello everybody. How are you? Nice to see you. Nice to see everyone. This week is a special week. We got a very exciting show all around. So I don't know if y'all heard or not, but the big homie Jesse is just kind of winning awards everywhere. He's our champion Indigenous writer, and he won the Kobo Emerging Writer Prize and also the Indigenous Voices. That's massive. That's massive. He's really proud of him. Want to say congratulations from everybody on the homies chatting. We miss you, and he's away this week whittling some spoons. Real talk. I'm not making that up. He's actually whittling some spoons with his beautiful wife, getting connected to the land. So we're giving him this week off. He well deserved winning those those awards. So I have someone subbing in for Jesse, and it's everyone's favorite cousin, Rosanna Deerchild. On in.
Dante.
How are you?
Hello, everybody in Facebook land or wherever you are. Coming at you.
Yeah, how are you? How are things?
Things are good. Just started my summer holiday today officially. Woo.
We got you working on your holiday. That's special. Holy jumping.
Right, that's not. This is not work. This is a pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks for inviting me to co-host with you. If somebody would have told me 10 years ago that I would one day be co-hosting a online chat with Ian Campo, I would have called them insane.
Listen, if anybody said that I'd be hosting a talk show with Rosanna Deerchild 4 months ago, I would have said they were insane. This is so exciting. I'm just so happy to hang out with you. I love hearing your voice all the time.
Oh,
so where are you broadcasting from?
I'm coming at you live from the North End in Winnipeg.
One of my favorite
territory, the meeting place for all the nations. So that's where I am. That's where I'm at. Where are you at? On your farm, I guess?
Yeah, I'm on my farm, just outside of Ottawa, so Anishinaabe territory. Yeah, just hanging out on the farm. We got our tomatoes have just kind of broke out. They just popped out, so that's fun. It's always exciting to see potatoes. Potatoes are like a big hardy plant that come out. Yeah, so it's cool to see those come out. Yeah, so we got Kim, our good friend Kim Wheeler. She's hanging out backstage, and she'll be monitoring all of our questions and taking care of all of those sort of things and writing little messages to Ro and I on what we need to be doing more. So we're also depending on you guys, the audience, to help share and get the word out on Twitter, Periscope, Facebook, Twitch. All of it is at Homies Chatting. And yeah, if you can get the word out, if you're enjoying this conversation, it would be much appreciated if you can get the word out and share with your friends. So yeah, sorry, go ahead, Ro.
Nothing. I was just like, yeah, what he said. Oh, punching in the wrong way.
I know it gets.
Hey, there's my sister. Hi, Mary.
Hey, right on. I'm so excited about tonight. I've only recently been learning about our traditions, and it kind of blew me away when on this path of reclamation and language and culture. I kind of always took the stars and constellations for granted, and like there's Orion's belt, there's the big there's the Big Dipper, there's this and there's that, and I never realized that they're all colonial terms.
Yeah,
right? They're all
exactly. You don't think about those things, eh?
Yeah. So a big realization was that we had indigenous stories and indigenous stars, and we had our own stories and our own constellations and our own knowledge that goes with that. And
they're really good stories too. They're like ass kicking, awesome.
They're ass kicking,
cool
heavy.
stories.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They're beautiful. And what I'm learning now is a lot of these stories that I don't want to speak for Wilfred, but what I've been learning, a lot of the stories that I've been learning, you first hear them and you're like, whoa, these are really metaphorical, right? Like there's really deep metaphors. And then you learn a bit of language and you hear that story again in language and you're like, no, these are very literal. And like what they're trying to talk about and the concepts within our understanding, like it's very, very literal. So having the Cree Star Man come and hang out with us. Yeah.
Since it could be a disco name.
I know. He's probably a great dancer too, eh?
Staying alive. Staying alive. Oh, go ahead, sorry.
No. I want to invite Cree Elder Wilfred Buck to homies chatting and share some of this knowledge. Oh, on in.
Hey,
hello.
Hey, Rosanna, how you doing?
Hello, Wilfred.
Long time.
How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. Hi.
Good. Where are you broadcasting from, Wilfred?
I'm broadcasting from the west side of Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Oh, so both you and Rosanna are in the same kind of neighborhood. Is it real hot there, I hear, huh?
Yeah, It's pretty hot out today.
It is.
It's been cool out here. Like the last 3 days has been like cold, like sweater and sweatpants.
Really?
Weather. Yeah, oh yeah. I had to change out of my shorts. It's been really cool. Yeah. How's your summer been so far, Wilfred?
Well, we were off work. We were working from home since March the 12th. And we got called back a couple weeks ago. COVID.
Sorry. My bad.
Just yesterday, I was told that I'd have to work from home again.
Oh, wow.
I'm working from home. So my holidays come up, and my holidays are not till the end of July. So
the end of July? I'm on holidays now, bro.
So how was your Aboriginal days? Both of you, like Rosanna, how was your National Aboriginal Day?
I didn't do too much on that because of this, pandemic. It's just like nothing was happening. There was no concerts, no powwows. It was kind of sad, actually. So, I did a quiet little, it's Indigenous Day, but that's about it. I put my fist in the air for the peeps, but
Yeah.
What
Wilfred,
about you?
did you do anything? Wilfred, did you do anything big on Indigenous Day or Aboriginal Day?
It was a really fantastic, special, awesome day. Because on that day, it was Father's Day, the Solstice equinox, and it was my son's birthday as well. And so all those
big celebration.
Those when he was born 27 years ago on that same day. And then again, they happened again this past Sunday. So that was pretty awesome. So yeah, so our son came to visit us 27 years ago. So pretty awesome stuff. His name is
awesome.
Mr. Wasis.
Oh, the big horse, Mr. Wasis.
Mr.
No,
Wasis.
Mr. Tim is a big horse. Yeah. Sorry. I speak Anishinaabe. I'm just starting to learn a little bit of Nehewak.
Yeah, here I'm going to be out that way in September the 22nd out at Gidaganzibi.
Oh yeah, my sister lives there. Right on.
Yeah, we're having a mini star gathering there with some of the elders, some of the Algonquin elders there, and hopefully
that's going to be cool.
A couple of Haudenosaunee people as well.
Oh wow, lots of knowledge going to be passed around, huh?
Cool. Yeah, we were planning for a big spectacular worldwide event there in September, but due to the pandemic, everything got shut down. So I had to scale it down.
So, Solstice. It was you mentioned it was solstice on your son's birthday, also Father's Day, also Aboriginal Day. What did solstice mean to Cree people? Like, I'm sure it was something like we celebrated or acknowledged at least. Nah?
Yeah, it was a time that people realized that at that time was of course the longest day, and the sun rose highest it would get in the sky, and then they called it Pise Kagachet. Pise Kagachet. That means the sun stands still. So at that point, the sun rose the highest. It would stay still, and it would remain at that point in the sky for about maybe 2 or 3 days, and then it would start going down, and then get shorter and shorter days. So that was a significant. That realized that we had a lot to do, and we had a little time to do it in. So a lot of work. But yeah, that was very significant event.
So what's the significant event in September that's going on in Gitagon-Zibi?
Well, that's the equinox. September 21st is the equinox. And we're going to be gathering. It was an International Indigenous Star Knowledge Conference that we were planning to host in Gitagon-Zibi, along with the elders and people from the community of Manawagi. And like I said, due to the pandemic, we had to scale back quite a bit. But we're going to have a Zoom and virtual people coming in from New Zealand, from Australia, from Hawaii.
Wow.
There's all these star knowledge holders that are going to be sharing.
That's going to be amazing.
Can anybody watch it?
If you're lucky enough to get on, yeah, because there's a limited amount of technology involved with that, and it crashes if there's too many people on it. Yeah, but yeah, if you can get on it quick, yeah, more than welcome. We're in Gitagon-Zibi. We're going to set up about 3 portable planetariums for the people in the area to come and see, and we're going to be. I'll be presenting something, and another astronomer named Annette S. Lee. She's Lakota and Anishinaabe, and she's astrophysicist out of the St. Cloud University in Minneapolis, and she'll be presenting. And of course, there's the elders from the Algonquin elders. They're going to be doing some stuff, and as well, we invited some other people, and hopefully they can show up. Hopefully there won't be travel restrictions. I told them that if I can't fly, that I'm going to be walking over there, so I have to get there.
Better start walking. Can you just explain what you mean, what the planetariums that you take around, describe them for us, and how they help you teach?
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, so the portable planetarium is an amazing tool. It's an amazing teaching tool, and it's what it is just a big inflatable dome. There's various sizes, right from probably about maybe 6 feet across to as much as 25 feet across.
Wow.
And we have one that's probably about maybe 7 meters wide by about 6 meters high, and we can fit about 45, 50 people inside the inflatable dome. And then we have a projector that goes inside the dome, and it projects the sky.
Right.
We can show the universe. The program and the software in the computer that projects the images can show pretty much anything that the Hubble Space Telescope took pictures of. We can show them, and I've added to the software some of the stories of Inuk, the Cree people, but also Lakota people, Nakota people, Siksika, and Inuit people, as well as Anishinaabe.
Wow.
Finding that the more and more we take this dome around, more and more people are starting to delve into their star knowledge from their own nations. So, and
yeah, that's that.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah, no, that's something that that actually I heard. It was a clip that I saw of you. I believe that was on CBC, maybe, where you talk about Orion as Nanabush or Nanabojo, right? Is that right?
No, that's not right. You're wrong.
That's not right.
No, that's not right.
No, but could you explain Orion?
Rosanna's fault.
What?
Oh.
What?
Oh yeah, well, Orion.
How did I get involved in this?
Various names for Orion depending on what kind of story you're talking about and what point you want to make. One of them we call we call Orion, which is the winter keeper, because Orion comes up early in the fall, and as it gets colder and colder, he's with us all night long, and during the winter time. And then as it starts getting warmer and near springtime, he catches up to the sun. So then he's out when the sun is out, so we can't see him. And again, till the coming fall. So he keeps the winter for us. He's the one who watches over the winter for us and tells us when it's time to rest and time to relax.
See, because the teaching I got from my auntie was Bobunke Nene was the name of Orion, but I was like, well, in Cree, I believe it's Nanabojo because I saw something on CBC. But it sounds like it's the same sort of teaching, huh?
Yeah, that was not our video, by the way.
Various stories. Yeah, the Anishinaabe call him Nanabojo.
Yeah.
And, we call him Wisage Jack.
Wisage Jack.
Wiscasia Jack.
Yeah. Wisage Jack, Whiskey Jack.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of names.
Yeah, so a lot of the constellations that we know and recognize, like I know what was really fun was learning a little bit of the Anishinaabe constellations and learning about the Big Dipper and how it's actually a fissure. And that Big Dipper is only its body. You got to look at the other stars that you can't really see in the city, right? Like those stars don't shine as bright in the city as they do in the country. And I live in the country now, so now I'm able to see those stars and see what like our ancestors saw before you had all this light pollution. But is that the same in Cree? That constellation is an animal that's bigger?
Yeah, like we have a similar story. The first time I heard that story about Ochik the Fisher was through one of our elders named Myrtle Scribe from Kineshausupi in Norway House. Told related the story about the Fisher and how the Fisher went and got a piece of summer back for us. And since then I've heard similar stories from various places in North America. So one of the things we found is that a lot of these stories are similar to just a change of environment to use sometimes different animals, but the gist of the story is pretty much the same. And that's one of the stories of the Dipper. There's a lot of stories about the Dipper.
What are some other stories that you've heard about the Dipper?
Well, there's about a bear. He's the big bear, Mr. Mashwa, the Cree people call him. The great bear in the sky, and that bear doesn't look anything like Ursa Major, the bear with the big long tail. Our bear is the bear that we're used to looking at. He doesn't have a long tail, and so the bear is facing the handle of the Dipper is the head of the bear, and the head and neck of the bear. Body of the bowl of the Dipper is the body of the bear, and the bear is looking at a group of stars. And in Roman Greek mythology, that group of stars is called. It's called Aurora Borealis. No, not Aurora Borealis. What am I saying? It's called Northern Cross. And it's 7 stars, and it's shaped like a U. What our people call that Tepagu Paneshisak, the 7 birds. And the story relates of basically the story tells us of how what could happen to us if we abuse the power that we have or we think we have.
That's it? You're just going to stop right there?
It's quite a long story.
Yeah.
I just told you just a little quick run through of it. And there's other stories like what we just recently found that for the Cree people, we have a flag. I didn't realize this until it was pointed out that the Cree people have the flag, and that flag is the eagle staff. So our people were the ones who found that eagle staff. They dreamt of that eagle staff, and they had visions of that eagle staff. And so they made that eagle staff. So if you look at that Dipper, that's part of the larger constellation called Miguanatic. Miguanatic is the eagle staff, or and the crook part. So the 7 stars or 8 stars with Dipper are part of the crook of and staff of the eagle staff. So that's another story.
Cool.
And then there's another one about how we came about getting the G-Man. G-Man is the what's great G-Man, which the birch bark canoe, and how that came to us. Again, that was through dreams, because a lot of these stories refer to dreams, because dreams are very important for our people.
Very cool.
For sure.
When did you start getting interested in the stars, Wilfred? How did this begin for you?
Well, when I was young, back home in Apaskaya Cree Nation, sitting on the banks of the Saskatchewan River, especially in the fall time, looking up at the night sky before it got too cold to go outside, and I used to lay on the banks of the river and look up at that sky, and I'd be just totally blown away by it. I knew that the forest was big, and I knew that the rivers were big, but you look at that sky, and that sky is awesome. It's unmeasurable how big that place would be, and then so I always wondered, like any youth, any child, or any person, if they get away from the interference of the artificial light and look at that night sky, that's the first thing people start doing. Is they're just in total awe, and they start wondering.
Yeah.
Wonder where we come from. Wonder how we fit in all this. And of course, every nation on the face of the earth wondered those questions, and they came up with answers. So it's one of the first things that I talk about it when I'm giving presentations is just to make people aware that every culture in the face of the earth had the capacity for intellectual thought, had the capacity for intellectual knowledge, had the capacity for science, for math, for discovery, for invention. They had all these things. It's just that we weren't asking.
Yeah. Yo, I think about this often, how like our language is tens of thousands of years old, and our stories talk about other floods, like not just like the last one, but like other ones. And our stories talk about traveling behind the moon and coming back, and the boy's father is now this old man. And he's like, hey, why are you an old man? And I haven't changed. And he's like, oh, well, time works different for people that are behind the moon. And when I told that part of that story to my friend, they were like, yo, that's Einstein's theory of relativity.
Mm-hmm.
That time is relative to where you are. And if you're in space somewhere else, time will work different for you. And we knew that. This was in our stories. This was in how we passed on knowledge. And again, when you start hearing these stories in language, everything changes, and everything becomes like very, very literal. And you start hearing these terms about constellations, about Bogonegijik, and Bobonanin is pointing at Bogonegijik. And you're like, okay, I don't know what any of that means. And it's like, oh, the winter maker's pointing at the hole in the sky. And you're like, the hole in the sky. Then you start hearing stories about
exactly.
how
there's all kinds of all different areas.
Oh no, too much knowledge overloaded.
Yeah. Or did we freeze? What's going on?
I think Wilfred froze.
Or he's thinking very deeply.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, there he is. Sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Everything shut down there all of a sudden.
Yeah, sorry, you were talking about Pleiades, I believe.
Yeah, the Pleiades. I love this story. This is one of my favorite. Go ahead, take it away, Wilfred.
These concepts that scientists put forward, they're on par with what our people thought. The philosophy and the understanding that our people had are on par with what the science. And like you were talking about the hole in the sky, and also the how the theory of relativity is applicable to the stories that we tell and the understandings that we have. And another one, I had a good fortune to invite an astrophysicist to a sweat lodge. And said she'd like to go, but she said right off the bat, I want to tell you that I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. She said, just because of the influence that she saw about Christianity, and so she was turned off by it. And anyway, so she came to the sweat lodge, and in the sweat lodge, I related a story about Bhagwan Gizik and Atagosisquel, the hole in the sky, and Star Woman, and how we have a term for who we are before we come to this place, before we come to Wutashki, this earth here. We are Atak. We are Gishigogak. Gishigogak means beings of light, beings of energy. And our people understood. There's a name for it, so they must have understood it. They must have knew what it meant. They understood that concept, and they debated over that concept, and they philosophized over that concept. So, anyways, I was talking about this and how we're beings of energy, beings of light, and we change form, and we come to this place to visit, and then we leave, and we continue our journey because there's uncountable realities out there, and this is them. And after that lodge, she came up to me and she said, this is amazing. She said, this is amazing what you're talking about, and this is the first time I've ever heard this. And she said, but it isn't really the first time I've ever heard it, because what you're talking about is particle theory. And the changing of energy is not destroyed or produced. It just changes form. And that's what our people believe. We are energy, and we just change form. We're undying because Kichimanto, a creator, he had a thought. Creator had a thought. And when the creator had a thought, a part of creator was placed in that thought. And that thought we call Achak, spirit. And that spirit is inside of us. So therefore, there's a part of us that's Achak, that spirit, that's part of creator. And therefore that part can never die. So we are unending. This little place we call Utaashki, this little earth here, this life, this is just a little flash of a firefly in the night in regard to terms of who we are as beings of energy.
Yeah.
And so those things are totally mind blowing. And what's more mind blowing as I think about this more and more is that prior to the coming of the Europeans, our people believed that. There was whole operating systems established based on this understanding that we are beings of energy. We are here for a visit, and we're going to leave. And being visited, we should understand that this is not ours, and we should leave it as we came. How it was when we came, because it's not ours. And the next ones to come, which is our children, we have to leave it for them in good condition, or even better condition than when we came. And so this goes on and on. But that concept, prior to the coming of the Europeans, our people believed in that concept, and they understood that concept about beings of energy. They understood that concept about Bhagwan Gizik, the hole in the sky, and the multiple universes. Now imagine a civilization meeting our people. This civilization was controlled wholly by the church. Everything they did was controlled by the church. And being that the case, they come across this idea and they say, holy smokes, we've got to get rid of these people. This is crazy. They're going to take our power away, our power base. This is crazy. They don't need churches. They don't need all these things. And you think about that, and that's totally mind-blowing. But it makes sense. And to this day, they're still trying to eliminate that memory that we have inside of us. Because our saw that we needed to hear this. And when I started beginning this journey of talking about the stars, I ran into a group of elders from Nisitriyashi. Nisitriyashi is Nelson House in northern Manitoba. I had the planetarium at the school, the local school in Nisitriyashi, and about 8 or 9 elders came after the presentation was over with the community and with the youth. I was gonna shut it down, and then about 10 elders come walking in a line, and I said, "Oh, I'm in for trouble now." And so they said we wanted to see what you're showing. So I took them in and I showed them this, and I told them some of the stories. And then when we left, one of them got up and they said, What you're doing, you got to keep doing. What you're doing is telling the students, telling our youth their history, is telling the youth this is their education system. Those stars are the education system for our people. So what you're doing is telling them who they are, and you can't stop. You got to keep doing it. So I went, whew, all right. And I also said that, if this thing is meant to be that you're doing, things will be put in your way, in your path, and you won't have to really work hard. People will be put in your path. Things will be put in your path, and they'll reveal themselves as time goes on. And that's exactly what happens. All these stories have revealed themselves through beautiful people and places. So it's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
From the banks of from the banks looking up to the stars to carrying it around in your pocket.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Here in my lifetime, and like I totally lost, like a lot of our people. I was award of the Children's Day Society back when I was probably about 6, 7, and till I was probably about 12. I ran away when I was 12, and I lived on the streets for a good 8 years, and I was into alcohol and drugs and all that stuff. So I was totally lost. And it wasn't until about 1973, 74, 73, I think it was. I was in Edmonton, and the Skid Row in Edmonton, thicker than a dog, sweating, seeing things in the dark. And I heard somebody say that there's elders gathering at a place called Morley, Alberta, close to Calgary, on the Stony Reservation. And these elders are calling out the youth. They're telling the youth, if you youth want to come and learn about who you are, you want to come to learn your history, want to come to learn ceremony, want to come and learn your language, come to Morley. So, hey, that sounds good. I think I'll go there. And of course, I was all sick, so I went there. And those elders gave us youth at that time, back in 73, they gave us youth hope. They gave us youth direction. They gave us youth a dream. And so we carry that forward now. And hopefully youth that are listening right now will take that, whatever we're saying here and sharing here, will take that forward and make the most they can of it. Again, to the youth that they'll see in the future, the ones that we won't see.
Yeah.
So it goes on and on and on.
If anybody in the Facebook sidebar here has any questions, you can throw them out.
Yeah, I think there was one here about the 7 stars that you were talking about that were birds. Was that Pleiades?
No, that's Corona Borealis, the northern crown.
Okay, Corona Borealis.
It's a U-shaped star, 7 stars in it. But a lot of these stars that they talk about usually have 7 stars or 7 visible stars anyway.
7 is a number that comes up often, huh?
Yeah, Tepegoop is a very sacred number, just like Neo. Neo is a very sacred number. For Neo, that's part of our name as Cree people. Neo, Neo. We are of the 4. That's how we.
Oh,
wow, that's fascinating.
did you ever hear Anishinaabe as the Nijinabe, the second people?
The second people, yeah. Well, the Cree were first. Just kidding.
You're welcome.
Yes. First started this journey, and one of a lot of youth from my generation started this journey. They began through Anishinaabe people and Lakota people before they went back to our own elders. And so we heard a lot of the teachings from the Dakota people and also from the Anishinaabe. We heard a lot of stories. I used to go to ceremony when I lived in the city here, and I stopped drinking. I used to go see Herman Atkinson in Rosa River, and he used to do ceremony with him. And he's the one that told us, you go back and listen to your people. Yeah, so it's amazing.
Yeah. It's our ancestors had it. They understood how everything worked. They knew, like, it seems like every problem that we face socially right now, we already had it figured out. Let it be capitalism, let it even be like, you know, preferred pronouns and those arguments that are like, listen, right now within our society, respect everybody's pronouns. That's extremely important. But in Anishinaabe, we got rid of gendered pronouns altogether. There's neen, geen, ween. And like that, me, you, they, them, and then like there's us, there's yous, and then there's they, them, plural. Yeah, y'all. Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
yeah. Well, we have a guinois, right, which is like you plural, so it's like yous. We have two different us's too. Yeah, we have a inclusive us and an exclusive us. So if I'm saying like, yo, we're cooking, that's neen win, it's us, not you. Like we're cooking, but not you. And then there's Ginwin Jibakwe on like or Jibakwe Min. We're cooking, so come on, get in here. You're cooking with us, kind of thing, right? So we kind of like just that, you know what I mean? But then we had in our stories, like all the science, like it's so funny, like bringing up you know, the story of Guillaume Nadeau, and Guillaume Nadeau thought everything into existence. And that thought came from a dream, and it shook like the tiniest seed started shaking. And from that vibration, everything came into existence. Me, you, the sun, the stars, everything. And the only way that we can give back to the benevolent mystery for our creation is to create the way that Guillaume Nadeau created, to bring something from our mind into fruition, the same way that Guillaume Nadeau dreamt all of this into fruition. And when I first heard that story, it's really heavy, but then you're like, wait a second, yo, the Big Bang theory's in there, and the tiniest seed shaking and making a vibration. We knew all of this stuff, and that's what's so frustrating, is that we had like, could you imagine if we had someone who spoke ancient Aramaic on in? If we had someone who
it's my kid busting in.
No, that's brilliant. If we had somebody who understood, an elder who understood the nuances of ancient Aramaic and the star knowledge of this ancient civilization that was, 4,000 years ago, it's like, yo, we have that. We have an elder right here. Like Wilfred Buck has this ancient knowledge that like nobody seems to want to like tap or talk to. Like it's just so frustrating that it's like, yo, we knew all of these concepts. We had all of these concepts. And like you start hearing these scientists now figuring out that like, oh, turns out smudge gets rid of, it's like, yeah, we knew.
Yeah.
Like we knew all of this. Like, why don't you listen to us?
Yeah.
Right? So when I heard that like Bogona Gijik is where human beings come from, I tell that to all the white people. And I'm like, yo, I can't wait for your sciences to catch up with our stories.
I'm just going to sit back here and wait on my I told you so throne.
I heard the mind-blowing and mind-expanding explanation about that Big Bang theory. Like when Kitamanto, our creator, had a thought, and that thought came into me. Of course, that was, like you mentioned, that was the Big Bang. But also, that is one of many Big Bangs, because there's multiple realities out there. And the way that Big Bang happened was two realities bumped against each other. And energy was released. And this is a continuing occurrence. And that's why
there's actually there's proof of that. Yeah, no, there's proof of that with the cold spots on like this, the gap, like they have a picture of the universe that they think like is the most, and there's this weird cold spot where they're like, it must be touched against, like, when two bubbles touch, like they think that's what that is. It's just so mind blowing that we knew all this stuff,
Yep.
Yeah. So how do we like decolonize our astronomy? Like, how do we?
Oh yeah, it's a lot to decolonize.
Yeah.
The decolonization. Well, first of all, we have to decolonize ourselves, because the stories are there, and all the knowledge in those stories are contained within them, and we just have to decolonize our mind to start understanding what these stories mean, and start realizing that the depth of knowledge that our people have and had and have, and just even the dream. That's why dreams for our people are very important. Poemiak, those dreams, they're not separate from who we are in our reality. They're part of that, and they intertwine. Those dreams give us hope, give us direction, give us understanding, give us answers, They give us all these things, and they give us glimpses of the future. And that's what Pagwangisik, the hole in the sky you were mentioning. That's what that is. It's a glimpse of the future. This is a possibility. And again, they're talking about quantum theory. The multiple possibilities out there. Just depending how a chain of events unfold, you'll get to a point where this will happen. But if a certain thing in that chain of events is different, then something else will occur. And our people understood that, and they realized that these dreams were glimpses of those possibilities. And that's why sometimes when we dream all the time. Doesn't matter when people say they don't dream, they dream all the time. Everybody dreams all the time. It just sometimes we don't remember what those dreams are. But sometimes when you dream and you wake up, then you say, hey, this happened before. I know I dreamt about this. That's a possibility. That's quantum theory in action. And our people understood that.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time. I want to get into that, but I just want to again remind everybody, if you're enjoying this conversation, please share it. If you think other people would enjoy it, please get it out there. Share, build this community. Really appreciate you hanging out. Wilfred, I got this teaching, if you don't mind, if I can share with you, like a sleeping teaching, and it's why it's a Anishinaabe, but it's why we sleep. And it has to do with when Sky Woman came down. She was lonely, and she created the twins. And the twins were, one was a physical being and one was a spiritual being. And lots of stuff happened, but they ended up fighting and destroying one another. So out of loneliness again, she created the Anishinaabe, the second people. And this time she made us composite beings, both a physical being and a spiritual being together in one as one. And our time is split up like that. So I get up, I hug my wife, I kiss my kids, I eat food, I do all the things that I need to do on my day to day to take care of my physical being. Then I go to sleep. And that's my spirit going off to do all the things that it needs to do on its day to take care of us together as one composite being. And we share, we're looking out for one another all the time. And what I do affects the spirit. What the spirit does affects me. And we relay messages back and forth. And that's in those dreams. And it's our spirit trying to tell us to do stuff to take care of ourselves. And ever since I got that teaching, I look at like, when I get depressed and I'm like, oh, I'm so tired. Like now it's like, oh, my spirit's got to go do some work and figure some stuff out. Like I got to go rest right now. And I just there's billions of dollars going into like sleep science and sleep research. And I'm like, oh, I got it. Like I understand. I don't need any of that research. Like Sky Woman made us composite beings. Like I'm good. I don't need anything else. Right. You get these teachings and they just explain things that it's not explained. It just doesn't make sense in colonial ideology. Right. And going to the elders and speaking to the elders and bringing that sema and asking them to sit down. Like it's even in the Anishinaabe 7 Fire prophecies, like it talks about the elders and their roles and what they're going to do. And, they're going to forget and they're not going to they're going to lose their place. It's just so, amazing, but also frustrating to get all of this information. Like I've only like really been open and receiving all of this in the last 3-4 years. And it's like, why didn't I know all this? Like why, like I got the first glimpse of what was taken from me through colonization. Mm-hmm. Right. Like I'm Nipissing. So I started researching the Nipissing specifically. And we were known as sorcerers that were so powerful that we could resurrect the dead. And I was like, I want that back. That was the first like big piece of knowledge where I was like, I want that back right now. Like I need that knowledge back. I want to know how all of this worked. Like this is wrong. What I see going on right now is all wrong. And you start listening to elders, you start listening to stories, and you start hearing everything, and they make sense. They make way better sense, and they're putting things together on like your life and things you see. And like you were mentioning, like you have those deja vus, and it's like, oh yeah, this is why. Like we just know, and it's frustrating that we weren't shown any of this stuff before. But anyways, I'm kind of ranting now.
I like to very much hear. That's totally awesome. And it's right. Our people were totally magnificent. Just
Yeah.
mind blowing about what our people had at first contact, and then it also mind blowing how much was lost. One of the elders I had a chance to speak with, we were standing out a place called Wanaskewin in Saskatoon, outside of Saskatoon, on the high plains in Saskatchewan, looking at a September night sky. And he said, "You see all those stars out there?" He said, "Every star you can see with the naked eye had a story, had a name, was attached to a constellation." So when you ask an astronomer or a physicist how many stars out there, it's not how many stars out there, but how many we can see. And on a given clear night, we can see anywhere from 3,000 to 4,000 stars. That's only the amount of stars we can see. So those stars had names. And the elder went on to say that due to the colonial process and the trauma that happened to our people, we lost 85% of that knowledge. So 85% of that knowledge was lost. He said that's just like you being in a community of 100 people, and each of you in that community know one single word, and you put all those words together, and it makes 100-word song. And everybody sitting together can sing that 100-word song. And that is the base knowledge of your people. That's the whole knowledge that your people had. And then one morning you wake up and 85 of them are gone. What happened? And that's what happened to us. And now we're in a process of getting that knowledge back. We're in the process of realizing, hey, we're awesome. And our children got to know we're awesome. You know, our students got to know we're awesome.
Yeah.
And so, so that knowledge is very, and those concepts you're talking about, going back to the elders and listening to those stories, and because the elders don't tell you, okay, this is a story about quantum theory. They don't tell you that. To realize, make the connections. Yeah. So, but now with people like yourselves, those connections are being made, and it's getting out there, and people got to hear it. And now is the time. Our elders to tell us, now is the time that we got to push back the cloak of shame, push back the cloak of inferiority, and let the world see who we are as spirit, because we're all spirit.
You talked about the young people, and teaching them these stories, and so they know that how brilliant we are. Do you see a time when we will be teaching Cree constellation in school or at university? Can you be like a PhD in Cree constellation in the future, do you think?
Yes, I see that. I totally see that. Just about a month ago, I was sitting on a Zoom with some Moray people from New Zealand, some Aboriginal people from Australia, some Hawaiian people, Native Hawaiian people from Peru, people from Mexico, the Dene people from the Navajo territories, and we were talking about this exact same thing. And we went forward. We should have a Indigenous university, and this Indigenous university should make those degrees in our knowledge a viable option for our students.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we'd be too good for them though. For all of our university grads will know too much. Because that's the thing, right? Like I'm realizing now, like, why they took this knowledge from us, and like our language, our constellations, and our being, is because they couldn't make money off of us otherwise. Because we could just go in the bush and be happy, right? Like our language explained everything. Our language explained what we could eat, what we couldn't eat. Like if it didn't explain it, there was a story that would explain it, and everything. You could just go in the bush and be happy. And because you can't make money off of people that are in the bush and making happy, they had to take our instruction manual away, which is our language. They had to take all of our teachings away, which, you know, said that you show your wealth by how much you can afford to give away, not by how much you hoard and accumulate. So that you couldn't have those values if you're going to go work in that world, right? So they had to like really like hurt us to get this language and these instruction manuals and these ways of life and everything that you've been taught. Like I've been reading the Jesuit diaries and the Nipissing. They describe the Nipissing Feast of the Dead, and we had like operas and ballets that were choreographed by 40 people. And these Jesuits are describing these operas that they said was the most agreeable to every sound in music, was how beautiful our operas were. And like, why didn't I hear that as a kid? Why didn't I hear about how cultured we were with our operas and our ballets? Why did I hear about how we were savage? Why did I hear about how we didn't have, like, you know, we were poor and we were like just, I don't know, walking around naked until white people showed up? Like I was, it's just so frustrating. Like if I would have known as a kid that we had operas and ballets and we know where human beings come from and they don't, like I would have had a different upbringing, you know? And yeah, this is exciting times where we're able to have, you know, Cree Star Man on and share this knowledge to people all over and have them like in and asking questions. This is just such an exciting time. I'm just kind of going off right now again, as I normally do. I'm just really excited with what's happening right now and what we're kind of witnessing.
Yeah.
Well, here's.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, this is just a good question for you, Wilfred. And it looks like Jess Graham is asking from Twitter, have you written any books? And if you want to talk about your book, that'd be great.
Okay, well, yeah, just last year we put together a book of some of the stories, some of the secret stories, and it's called Tipiskawi Gisak, and it means the night sky, and in it there's about 10 or 11 stories about astronomy and the constellations and some of the stars, and how some of just offering a different perspective from the normal Roman and Greek mythology and the knowledge therein. So that's one of the book. We're putting right now in the process of putting another one together, and hopefully we'll have that out by probably next year, 2021, as an add-on to what's happening is that as we tell the stories, more stories are coming to us. Like I was talking about the eagle staff that just came not too long ago, and there's also another one that was just came. It's about Nameo the sturgeon, which swims in the Milky Way, which we call Ataxipi, the river of spirits. And that Nameo swims in there, and that Nameo for our people was very important. He was the one who was in charge of the bloodlines. He was in charge of the clans. He was in charge of the ancestors. He was in charge of all the relatives, and they got rid of him, and we our relatives because of that knowledge is lost, and so now we have a lot of interbreeding of blood. Like one of the things that I have opportunity to travel all over Manitoba, and one of the stories that came to me was that up in northern Manitoba in the isolated areas, some of the kids are getting really strange diseases, blood diseases. And these blood diseases they haven't seen only in the royal families of Europe in the medieval times. And that's just bloodlines, intermingling of bloodlines. And so that's why, like for the male with the sturgeon, he was the one who told us what our clans and who our family clans were. And we shouldn't be marrying within our family clans. That's very important to keep that blood flowing and to keep that blood free of disease. So these things like are slowly coming back to us, and as time goes on, and I keep adding. I got to keep adding to these stories, because one day I want that whole sky filled up with our stories.
Oh, you want to rename 4,000 stars? Yes.
Like, not renamed; they're named already.
Or named, rediscover the names of, yeah.
And then you look at an Anishinaabe sky, then you look at the Siksika sky, you look at the Lakota sky. All these skies, they have their own meanings. And a lot of them are on par with what astronomers and the astrophysicists believe. I got a funny story for
Yeah.
you.
And when you collect,
Oh, go ahead.
no, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just going to share a story about Star Woman. Star Woman, Achagos Sisquil. We call her Achagos Sisquil, Star Woman. And so I'm relating the story in at the Thunderbird House in Winnipeg here. Every Christmas we hold a fundraiser for the homeless people, our brothers and sisters that are unfortunate to be living on the streets and or make it their choice to live on the streets. We put together a fund, a drive to get winter clothing and winter gear for them. And so, anyways, this one time we were holding this fundraiser drive, and I had the planetarium open, and people were coming in making donations, and they'd go into planetarium. And so I was sitting in the planetarium and talking about Achagos Star Woman, and about how Star Woman came down from the sky. And sitting beside me was Leonard Sumner. He's an Anishinaabe from from Little Saskatchewan, and just north of the city here. And anyways, he's sitting there, and he's funny. So we're sitting there talking, and I'm talking about Achagos Squirrel. And all of a sudden, he leans over because he was sitting right beside me. He said, "Psst, hey brother, what are you calling that lady? Achagos Squirrel?" He says. I said, "No, Achagos Squirrel." Of course, Achagos means ugly.
Wilfred, you might
Yeah.
not remember this, but I definitely do. We met briefly, and it was actually the last time I saw Leonard's mother. It was at the Manitoba. It was like an Indigenous science gathering. Do you remember that a few years ago? And it was at the university.
Yeah. That science fairs we hold. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was a day like we walked around. I was just there with a friend. I did a talk earlier, and he was like, "Hey, can you come with me and just hang out?" So I went over and met you that day. But yeah, since then, actually, Leonard's mom has passed on.
Yes.
But that was the last time. That was when I had met you that time, and I don't know if you remember that or not. But that was a special time for me.
Yeah. Yeah, we every year we hold that, except we had to cancel it this year because of all the crazy. That's too bad, because we had some awesome projects that were going to be sent to the Canada wide, and that got canceled too. But yeah, we're sorry to hear about the passing of Mrs. Sumner. She was an awesome lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was a language champion too, huh? She was very special.
Mm-hmm. So there is a question here from Soulful Healer, who writes, when Wilfred shares how that story just came, how does he mean? Do they come in via dreams or in visions or via people and elders he meets, so that becomes a new story?
All of the above. Always. Sometimes I'll just be sitting someplace, and somebody will come up to me and say, "Hi, are you Wilfred?" I said, "Yes, I am." "Well, I have a story for you." And they'll relate me a story, and then I'll have to go find the stars that they're talking about. Or sometimes they'll say, "Okay, this is a story about such and such stars," and then they'll go on. And other times you'll be sitting in the sweat lodge, and somebody will tell a story, and it'll ring a little bell in my head, and I'll remember that, and then at some point all these pieces will fall into place, and I'll say, this is what they're talking about. I had one time through a dream. One time I woke up from a dream, and in that dream I saw this moose, and this moose was running across the sky, and as he ran across the sky, he stopped, and then he made a big huge circle. He circled around, and then he kept going across the sky. And then I woke up, and I thought, holy smokes, I wonder what that is about. And then right away, this memory came into my mind. I remember I was 14, 15, and we were out with hunters. There was about 4 of us, teenagers, and we were out helping the hunters. They had knocked down 3 moose, and we were there helping them butcher it and helping them cut it up and helping them haul it out. But as they knocked down the moose, the first thing they did is they built a fire. And it was early in the morning. They built a fire, and they put the tobacco in the fire, and they stood there. And I looked up in the sky, and I could see a star. And they looked up, and they put the tobacco. And then that flashed in my mind, and along with that dream, it came. that star that they saw was the morning star, Wapanoke, and that morning star is Venus. But at sometimes the morning star is also Mars, depending on in relation to the sun and the Earth, because Mars orbits faster than the Earth does the sun. And so at certain points, Mars passes Earth, but also Venus passes Earth. But Mars passes Earth. And when Mars passes Earth in the night sky, it looks like it stops in the sky. Then it makes a circle. Then it continues its journey. And that's called retrograde motion. But also, when a moose is startled and you're hunting a moose and when it's startled, it'll run in a big, huge circle. And then it'll go back to where it originated from, then continue its journey. And that's what they call that morning star, Mars. They call it Kitong Pampano or Musa Atsak, which is moose spirit, or circles back.
Wow.
So,
Mind blown. Cool.
Yeah, so those are some of the ways that these things come to me. It's pretty awesome. Just like what the elder said, that if they're meant to be, then they will unfold before your eyes.
Wow, amazing.
That's just incredible. I think that's a all right time to leave it. Do you have anything else you want to share or say, Wilfred?
Not really. We'll just tomorrow we're heading out to the ceremonial grounds just north of the city. It's about 35 kilometers north of 59, and we're setting up renewing our sweat lodge. So we're building a lodge, and then on Sunday we're going to be having a sweat lodge. So if anybody's so inclined, they can find their way out there. We put markers along the road. Like I said, it's about 35 kilometers north of the city, off 59. So, yeah, I want to thank everybody for allowing me to be here with you guys.
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
Ian,
stay awesome, homie.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I want to thank everybody for hanging out and sharing. We had quite a few people watching. Thanks again. If you think other people and your friends would enjoy this, feel free to share it. Apchi Miigwech, Wilfred, that was incredible. And next time I see you, I have to give you some sema. That was really, really important. And thank you so much for sharing this with everybody. This was great. So Apchi Miigwech, everybody. Miigwech Pasindawak. Thank you all for listening. And
thanks, everyone.
We'll be back next week. And take care. Bamapi.
Hey, Wilfred.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.